It's conflict of culture in the sense that Tanzanians are taking too seriously what we in Kenyans, we are very relaxed about. It's about socialization and culture and where we are at. Kenyans are very democratic. We are a more free society. We speak about issues very openly. But then now when I started working is when it shocked me at how much the issue of not having a child affects most women. That for some women it's almost a lifelong depression. People are going through very, very difficult times. You'll discover out of 20 people who are writing to me, about 9 of them are asking you for 200 shillings, 500 shillings. Kenya is fairly liberal and fairly conservative. So we are very liberal in certain sectors. We will go and put nudes of others on social media and speak our minds on social media and all that. But we are very conservative when it comes to issues like that. We don't want to talk about them. We are very guarded about it. So I'm like, the same way we are aggressive on social media, let's also be aggressive about talking about reproductive issues. Let's talk about menopause and not criminalize menopause or stigmatize menopause. Let us talk about erectile dysfunction and not stigmatize it. Let us talk about the fact that at a given age, the sexual desire goes down. Who talks about such things anymore? No, nobody talks about it.
How far are we with the bill? How soon do you think we'll be able, and especially the assisted reproductive? Hello, good people. Susie Uledada, living positively regardless. Doesn't matter the point at which you are in life, but we rock positivity all the way. I am happy that the Lord has given us another opportunity for us to meet and for us to interact and also for us to learn. And today, guys, I am so excited. At the same time, I'm so humbled because we have a guest in the house, and I'm just excited of the guest who has given us her precious time to be with us at Susie Yule Diadem. So guys, I welcome you to sit back there, relax, and because you are in for a treat, we are going to learn and understand so much. And maybe before I go too far, I just want to let our guest say hi to you, then I'll get back to you.
Hi everyone, and I'm so happy, Susie, to finally meet and just to converse.
Yes.
And I'm also very happy that you've started with prayer. Yeah, that's important. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So guys, as you have already seen, we have our MP in the house, Honorable Millie Odhiambo, the longest serving woman in the parliament. That must be quite something, yeah?
Yes, it is. It's not easy to make it for all those years. A lot of the people who have not made it, it's not because they have not tried. A lot of people have tried and have not managed. So I consider it an honor and a privilege.
Yes.
To be serving that long. Yeah.
Being a Kenyan, you'll agree with me that there's no way you'll pass through your TV and hear this voice and you'll not recognize and you will not stop to listen to this. Honorable Millie Odhiambo is a lawyer, and she has for the 30 years expressed her passion in helping and supporting and fighting for the rights of the women and the rights of the children. And when we talk of a child and a woman, then definitely there is something that has happened, reproduction, and that is actually why we are here today. We want to understand issues to do with infertility. We want to understand from the best. I believe we have the best in the house.
Yes.
And the other day we had Dr. Kireki, who is the president of COGS, and he was telling us, he gave us some numbers that were quite something, because he was telling us 15 to 20% of Kenyans are fighting infertility, and we were like, wow, that's quite something. And now I am here and I'm wondering, what is your thought about such a number in our country?
I would tell you that it is very realistic. It's very realistic because, the issue of infertility and not childbearing is the unspoken. It's one of the unspokens. And so I can tell you in this parliament, because I speak, God gave me the opportunity and the ability to speak about the unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
But there are very many, many more people who are having challenges having children, normally people with the infertility issues and all that. Even in this parliament, even in previous parliaments, young, middle-aged and older, and only very few are able to talk about it. I think in my entire life here in Parliament, the only people who have spoken about it is myself, Honorable Joyce Lay, and Shakil Shabir. Mm-hmm. But we still have, I know them by name because they've spoken to me. Mm-hmm. But because of stigma, they cannot share. Yeah. So that number is fairly accurate. Mm-hmm. I think so. Mm. Yeah.
I know we're going to dive right inside of it and try to see so much of what is happening when it comes to the infertility. But even before we get to there, Honorable, there's this controversy. I don't know whether we are fighting or we are arguing with Tanzania. What is your feeling about it?
I think it's really, for me, an issue of conflict about culture. It's conflict of culture in the sense that Tanzanians are taking too seriously what we in Kenyans, we are very relaxed about. It's about socialization and culture and where we are at. Kenyans are very democratic. We are a more free society. We speak about issues very openly. Tanzania is a more closed society. They don't speak openly, And so for us, and then also if you look at even international treaties that we have ratified, Tanzania similarly ratified them. So when Martha and the other former Chief Justice and others went to Tanzania because of Honorable Tundu Lissu, for them it was such a big deal. But in Kenya, it's no big deal. Even if you had an opposition member here and former Chief Justice came in Kenya, you are likely to just go see them and go back. It's no big deal. Mm. And I think on this one, even Museveni tried because he allowed Martha to go. She's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And she can practice across in East Africa. So Martha just went in as a lawyer. She can do that. And it's no big deal. Look at the fire. The fires have been stoked in Tanzania. It's very calm in Uganda. So I think it's also just what I'm talking about, how people are socialized and how people are doing. So Tanzania made a big issue
about it.
Out of it. Mm. And I would want to say that our agencies, of course, in their typical way have responded. Mm-hmm. But you've realized Kenyan Parliament has been fairly muted. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, people would have expected us to fight. Mm. I don't think those are things you want to fight, create rifts between Tanzania and Kenya about. Mm. Yeah, they are not things worth fighting about. What is concerning for me, of course, is where women's rights are concerned. And I would want to say that it is very sad that you see a lot of people who are attacking, even though many people have gone there. But the attack seemed very geared towards Martha Karua. Of course, Martha Karua is a very strong personality, which is good because it then lifts her up. You know, everybody now probably in Tanzania now knows Honorable Martha, even those who didn't know her. But on the other hand, it talks to discrimination. And many people might tell me, but it's a lot of the women who are speaking. But women are socialized within a culture where we are discriminated and we understand the language of discrimination. We self-discriminate. Mm-hmm. We discriminate ourselves because that's how we've been raised. So it is sad. It's sad that the attack is very gendered. Mm. If they wanted to attack, it would be nice to attack everyone. Attack Chief Justice, former Chief Justice, the both actually. Both of them were there. Mm-hmm. Nobody is throwing their guns, aiming their guns at them, but Martha. So there's a very gendered aspect of the war. Okay. Maybe because they think because the president is a woman, so maybe Martha, I don't know. what the dynamics are. But there's a very gender dimension to it. Yeah.
Are we as Kenyans going too far, especially on our social media, in the whole attack?
I'm not too sure whether I'd call it going too far. I wish we could tone down a little bit. There were some images that were put of the president of Tanzania that were not very kind, and they were not very nice. When you are depicting her nakedness, speaking also as a woman rights defender, I think that wasn't very nice. Yeah, so it's just something I would urge people, let's also be a bit sensitive. And Samia is not also, from a cultural perspective, she's not a young person. And we have been trained in our culture to also respect people who are older. I know we come from different generations, and there are generations who don't give a damn about that. But in my generation, that was a big deal, that you respect somebody who is older, who could be a mother or a grandmother to you, and do not even imagine. Of course, it's not her nakedness, it's all AI, but don't even imagine her nakedness. It's an abomination to even imagine the nakedness of an older person to you. You are allowed to imagine nakedness of a younger person, or even not too young, because then you become a defiler, or but otherwise, I would just want to encourage just a little temperament. Yeah.
All right. I want to go back to Honorable Millie Odhiambo.
Yes.
And I want to understand more of her. And I want to wonder, there's a time you mentioned that growing up, you're a very shy guy, you are spiritual, you are not so much interested with issues, politics. What changed the whole narrative of this honorable that we see today? We cannot imagine her being calm.
I can tell you I've always been both feisty and very calm at the same time. Even now, I'm very feisty and very calm. So sometimes when people see if you observe me in the last 1 year or so, I've been fairly calm. So it's something I can do. I can be extremely calm. I can be extremely feisty when the situation calls. And that is because in my personality, I have elements of two diametrically opposed personality types. I am both a melancholy and a choleric. And because I'm a melancholy and a choleric, I have some very good strengths of a choleric and some very good strengths of a melancholy and some weaknesses of a melancholy. Mercifully, I have less of the weaknesses of a choleric, because the weaknesses of a choleric, I don't like them. Because most cholerics are almost heartless, and I don't think I am heartless. I have empathy, which comes from my melancholy side. So I have some people want to call it split, but it's not split. If you study personalities, it's just that all of us have a mix of different personalities. So me, I have a mix of a very strong personality and a very mild personality. Strange, but I have both. Yes.
Wow. So it's just when time called that you have allowed to express.
But when I was in the university, the milder one was more at play than the stronger one. So if you ask my classmates, they will tell you, even now when I meet many of them, they tell me, when did you change? How did you become this person? But many of them forget that when Robert Ouko was killed, and I was in the Christian Union, and me with my friends with the Christian Union, we are the ones who mobilized people in my class to go and demonstrate. Because our classmates were not. But then the people in Christian Union were known that they would not. They, us, we was just about praying and speaking in tongues. Yeah. But we left our praying and speaking in tongues and went and mobilized the Parklands, the lower students who are not doing anything when the rest of the university people were rioting. So as we said, no, we are not going to be left behind. A wrong is a wrong. So we went, got the men, we led the men, we went on the streets, we demonstrated, and when we reached Foreign Affairs, I am the one who prayed. So people were like, is that Millie praying? Because they knew I was so quiet, I prayed at Foreign Affairs. So a lot of people remember that. And then at some point, we went to, we were given a bus after we'd walked and we were so tired. The then Vice Chancellor was very understanding. So he knew the psyche of students. So he knew if you are tired, students are likely to start stoning or whatever. So he got a bus to follow us all the way. So when we were tired, he gave us the bus. And then the bus took us to Ouko's residence in Loresho. But unfortunately, the bus that had taken the law students turned and went back. So we didn't actually have a bus coming back. And we found a bus full of engineering students. So myself and the wife to Honorable Bet, she's now a judge. She's called Justice Alice Bet, who was also of the CU and fairly quiet. We actually commandeered the bus and took control of the bus. I told the lawyers to get in and took us back. So people are like, hey, is this Millie and Alice? So you will see that in me throughout my entire life. That I have the feisty and the demure all through my life. Yes.
And I can tell you, we like it, we love it, we hear you on TV, and especially as I think as a woman, I would say we love it, especially when you are saying anything women, because we see it's coming deep from you. So whatever else is said by anybody else, we are like, this is the bad girl. Yes, this is what we want.
Thank you.
Yes. Now getting to the issues infertility.
Yes.
Maybe we would start by getting to know your personal journey about it and maybe how it has impacted your life.
Well, my journey is both short and long, but more short than long. Short in the sense that I don't know if it is because of the way I was socialized or brought up. My mother was fairly liberal, conservative in the sense that she was in the church, but liberal in her thoughts and in the way she raised us. So the issue of having a child or not having a child was not a big deal. In fact, a lot of times my mother used to tell us, for her, even if you don't have children, she's okay with it. Yes, I don't know why, but she was like, my kids don't get married, I'm okay with it. You don't have children, I'm okay with it. And I remember, like, when one of my sisters was having problems early in her marriage, she was like, you don't have to stay, you can divorce, get back home. She was that liberal. So because of that, I never grew up thinking like, I must have a child. Of course, I love children and I'd love to have a child. But then I also, secondly, the reason why I'm saying it's short and long, it's short because I was so committed to working for the public. I was committed to working and serving children. That having children, my own children, didn't come in my mind. Of course, I had a medical condition which I didn't even take seriously because I had fibroids. And I was always told that when you have fibroids, it becomes a bit of a challenge having children, but it never occurred to me much. So by the time now I thought about having a child, one, it was the issue of fibroids and also of age. Now when I look back now at it, because I also didn't marry young. I married in my late 30s. So when you marry in your late 30s, you'll be told your reproductive clock is better in your early 20s, mid 20s. By the time you are going to, or mid 30s backwards, by the time you are going into late 30s, you need medical assistance for a lot of people. But it wasn't that much of a big deal for me whether I had a child or not. So, but at some point then, when I was, and then of course my husband then was living out of the country, was living in Zimbabwe because he's Zimbabwean. So because of that, you can't get pregnant by AI. You can't use AI to get pregnant.
It's true.
So it was a multiplicity of factors. For me, the concern about even not having children came in through other people, not through me. And that is why I'm telling you it's a short and long. I didn't have children by the time, I didn't have a child by the time I was coming to Parliament. And I came into Parliament when I was early 40s, I think. And even though I was one of the youngest then, But it didn't occur to me that I don't have a child and my biological clock is ticking. And then somebody mentioned when I was vying as a member of parliament that, oh, Millie is good, but we can't elect a Lord. Lord is the barren woman. And I'm like, gosh, how can somebody say that? And I thought it was offensive, but not to me. I thought it was offensive to other women who don't have children. Yes, that's how my thinking was. I was like, why would you say that? And there are many women who are really struggling to have children. But then now when I started working is when it shocked me at how much the issue of not having a child affects most women. That for some women it's almost a lifelong depression for not having a child.
Yes.
It's not the same with me. But I have talked to many women, both educated and not educated. Actually, when I brought my bill, I met a lot of women in Nairobi from different areas in the country, Central, Nyanza, etc. They are women, they're actually, because I'm actually very grounded and rooted in church. And so there are women who were from church.
Okay.
And they were a fellowship and they were like struggling to have children and they had issues. So they came to see me and said, we are struggling. Some of us had been to South Africa like 3-4 times. We are paying astronomical amounts to get this procedure. And we are having 1, 2, 3, 4 concern. Can you raise it in Parliament? So I brought it. And by God's grace, one of those women came into Parliament. So she was a quiet support in the background. And she adopted one child and got another child through ART. So I'm very happy for her. But most people don't know. But she managed to come into Parliament. I was very happy about that. But then what even shocked me the most is when I went to my constituency and the way people treat women who are childless really, really was, it touched me, it touched something in me that I would be meeting people. Whenever I go, people meet me in groups. So there will be fishermen, people who are in agriculture, in different sectors. Even people who are on ARVs, and they'll tell me, Mheshimiwa, we are here, we are Jondilo. Jondilo are the ones who swallow. Literally, it means us, we are the ones who swallow.
Okay.
So they are not embarrassed. They'll tell you, we are here, we are the ones who swallow. But there is always a group that will see me behind the tent. And they tell me, Mheshimiwa, we can't say there, but we are the ones like you. So normally, jokingly, I'll tell them, are you the loud ones or which ones are you? Then they tell me, no, we are the childless ones. They can't say it before people. And when I raise it, people don't want me to say that word lore. It's not said. It's the unspoken.
Yeah.
If I was a Kalenjin, I would say it's a kipka. I don't know what in Kikuyu it's called, but there's the unspoken. There are words that are not spoken. Yeah.
In Kikuyu, we call them data.
Data. Yeah, so it's a data, a kipka. Yes, they are just unspoken. You don't say it before people. In fact, when I tell people that, people call me Lord, all the people go, no, don't say that word.
Yeah.
It's an abomination to say it. So for me, part of the things that I'm doing is creating awareness about it, trying to destigmatize not having children, but also trying to create solutions for women who are really struggling to have children. Because there's indeed solution.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to have a child now, I can. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with the technology, you can. Yeah, it's just that because for me, as also a child rights practitioner, I was telling somebody the other day that if I'm a child rights practitioner and I have a child now, by the time they are going to their high school, if I went to visit them, they'll be telling me, is this your great-grandmother? Not your mother, you'll be your grandmother or great-grandmother. And I don't think that's fair on the child. So it's no longer just about you. Yes.
It's also about the child.
It's also about the child.
And I agree with that totally.
Yes.
And I wonder, how have you managed that, the stigma that comes with it, that it just come over you and you just shake it? Because like the other day I had, you were discussing about the bill in Parliament, and someone just said, an honorable member said that nobody could have stopped you from getting children. And I wondered, for me, I was like, but you not even, so I'm wondering, how do you...
You know, I've told you it's very strange. I don't know if it's God or what. When he said that, I was so upset on behalf of women without children, not on my behalf. In a way, it doesn't affect me personally.
Okay.
No. And the reason is because stigma, you have to own it. I don't own it. I don't own stigma. No, I don't. And I don't own stigma in the sense that I feel complete. I don't need permission of anyone to be complete. I am complete as Millie.
Okay.
If you have a problem with what I am, the stigma is you. You are the one with the stigma. So I always see, like, even when I disagree with some people politically, then somebody comes to my page and they say, this is why God stopped you from having children. And they think you are...
You'll cry.
No, they think that you've really said something to upset me. You might as well just say, this is why God gave you big bumps, you know. It has that much of an effect on me. no impact on litmus paper. Does not affect me. But I've also told you it's a background where I was raised. Because my mother didn't make a big deal about, oh, you must be married, you must have children, you must have a husband. My mother, you are married, is good. You are not married, is okay. You have children, is good. You don't have children, is okay. No big deal. And in my family, we are two of us. I have an older sister who also doesn't have children.
Okay.
And it's no big deal.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have parented those times, because today I think now it's common. We are encouraging our children to go for their dreams. But those old times, I think she was prophetic of who you're going to be and how...
My mom was an exceptional person. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have tried, when we are seeking infertility treatments, we have come many challenges, and of course one of it is stigma, as you're talking about it. But also I've realized that many insurance covers are avoiding that package, and unfortunately even the government cover, health cover, is not sufficiently really addressing the issue. Where are we on that one?
It is true. There's a lot of discrimination on reproduction. And one of the things that I was trying to do even with the bill is to raise issues or deal with issues around discrimination on reproduction. We actually almost criminalize reproduction. And here, when I talk of reproduction, it is reproduction broadly. Because I have two bills. I have another bill on reproductive health, broadly, reproductive, family reproductive health care, and I have assisted reproduction, where assisted is just to help women who want to have children, but the broader family reproductive health care deals with the issues that, again, we don't speak about broadly. I am told in my community a long time ago, there used to be a hut for girls called Siwinde Nyeri, which was a hut where girls would go and their grandmothers would teach them about reproductive issues. Of course, the grandmothers died and the huts fell. So there's no more Siwinde Nyeri. So there's no place where women are taught. And so people move in reproduction by trial and error. And that's why you see a lot of our young people blundering. Parents, because of the way we are socialized in all communities, are unable to teach their children about reproduction. My mother was actually a trained nurse, and she was also a trained social worker.
Okay.
Yet she was not able to tell me about periods. I came across a period by accident. Yes. So you can imagine, because of her socialization, and she was fairly liberal, but she wasn't able to talk to me about menses. Yeah. So the first time I had my menses and I was an early bloomer, I actually thought I had hurt myself, I'd cut myself, because I knew it's older people who had menses, and we had been made to feel, we had kind of been made to feel that people who get menses are spoiled girls. Spoiled meaning they have had sexual relations with boys. So it wasn't something that happened. So me, when I saw blood, I actually thought I'd cut myself or that I was sick. Yeah, I just knew I had a strange disease. Now you can imagine our young people now, even growing up, even our most liberal parents are still struggling with the telling, even our younger parents are still struggling with telling their children about that. So part of the thing for me is also that I keep telling people that Kenya is fairly liberal and fairly conservative. So we are very liberal in certain sectors. We will go and put nudes of others on social media and speak our minds on social media and all that. But we are very conservative when it comes to issues like that.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about them. We are very guarded about it. So I'm like, the same way we are aggressive on social media, let's also be aggressive about talking about reproductive issues. Let's talk about menopause and not criminalize menopause or stigmatize menopause. Let us talk about erectile dysfunction and not stigmatize it. So let us talk about the fact that at a given age, the sexual desire goes down. Who talks about such things anymore? No, nobody talks about it. And it creates problems in marriage. You find a man who has been a pastor all his life, and then he reaches 60, 70 years, abandons his family and marries a young one. Because we are not dealing with those issues, and they are real issues that affect lives and affect families. But what do we do as Kenyans? We really pray and hope for a miracle. Yet the days when God used to appear in a real angel form, Elisha. So we are waiting for an angel to come and tell you that, oh, my son, what we are feeling is hot flashes. No, there's no angel. You will have to discover. You will pray that God gives you wisdom, but somebody has to tell you what you are going through is hot flashes. If you are having bad mood, somebody has to tell you, it's okay. I remember when I first came here in Parliament, there was a member of Parliament who was older. So I remember telling somebody, oh, did I do something to this lady? So they were saying, why? And I'm like, oh, she really picks on me. And then I say, but then I don't understand her. Sometimes she's extremely nice. Like today, she's so nice. Then the next day, she's completely the opposite. Then somebody told me that is called menopause. Then I'm like, what is that? I had no clue. But I was coming in Parliament, I think I was 40, 41 or thereabout. I had no clue what menopause was. And I'm educated. Yes.
Yeah.
So there are things we assume that people know and they don't.
They don't know. Do you think we have sinned against God? That's why the angels are not coming one-on-one and telling us, behold, this is menopause.
Well, not as Kenyans as such, but as the world as a whole. There were days when, if you read the Bible, there were days when people were really close to God. This morning I was reading the book of Matthew and for my morning devotion. And I was just amazed at this centurion whose servant was sick. And then he told Jesus, when Jesus said, so can I come to heal your servant? He said, no.
You don't have
I have commands under me and I tell them do and do. So you don't need to come. Just like the way I command, just say the word. And Jesus just said the word. But they had that much faith. But in our days, our faith has been diluted by many, many other things. It's been diluted by science, it's been diluted by, all manner of things. Education, which is a good thing, but we want to put logic into everything. Yeah, we don't run to faith first. We run to logic and to education. And to reason and, all that before we go to faith. But, in their times, they didn't run to education and all that. They ran to God. And all they waited was, say the word.
Just the word.
Yes.
Now, on the insurance cover, do you think we are going to get anything better, and especially from the government health, covering the people, the services that are offered?
Well, with the time, yes. But I think the reality that Kenyans have not come to terms with is that we are facing an economic challenge as a country right now. From the fact that we are borrowed over a period of time, and the country is very heavily indebted. Number two, we are dealing with the issue of corruption. So we have those two issues that are very challenging to us as a country. And I like comparing the country with just your own budget as a person. And I can give you an example, like if you're in your own house and you've done your budget, but uko na mshwari 50,000, but you have a budget of 20. Yeah, not even 20. You have mshwari 50,000, but your house budget is 100,000. It will all go. Where are you going to get the balance? So in Kenya, we are kind of in a situation like that.
Okay.
And the challenge is that we didn't communicate effectively as leaders to the public, and that's why hence the Gen Z uprising. We needed to have communicated honestly to the country what the situation is like. We were communicating after the fact. That is why you see a lot of joblessness. There are many, many young people who are jobless, and then we also didn't plan very effectively. Because all along, for all the 17 years I've been in parliament, we've been always saying, tomorrow, the youth, when the youth come, the youth are here now. The ones that we are saying, the youth of tomorrow. Tomorrow is today.
It is today.
Tomorrow is today. And the youth bulge that we are talking about is here. Now we are not talking about the youth bulge. We keep saying there's going to be explosion. It is here. We saw the explosion last year. And if you are not able to manage that explosion very well, then I don't know what is beyond an explosion, because we must address the issue of joblessness and unemployment. I can assure you, if all these Gen Zs were working, who would have time to go and give Tanzanian MPs lectures and fill their phones? And I really, really sympathize with them, with those MPs. I know, because I've been there, done that, got a T-shirt. During the Gen Z thing, somebody shared, our numbers were shared. And so my number was shared.
Oh my.
And for me, it wasn't negative. It was actually shared very positively. I mean, people were talking very positively because I actually stood with the Gen Zs at that time. And I stood with the public at that time. So people are just coming to say, oh, we love you, we care for you, blah, blah. And of course, then they're offward sending you their inches, And then, of course, then what I loved about it, it also gives you the reality of the suffering. Of course, I see it in my constituency. But when you extrapolate it to the rest of the country, people are going through very, very difficult times. You'll discover out of 20 people who are writing to me, about 9 of them are asking you for 200 shillings, 500 shillings. Yeah. Though I also wonder about it by gender, because majority asking for money are men. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mheshimiwa, I'll still come back to to understand how you think would be the best direction now that we already, as you are saying, the explosion is already here with us. But then before we get to there, how far are we with the bill? How soon do you think we'll be able, and especially the assisted reproduction?
The bill is actually supposed to come for committee of the whole house, which is basically where we go line by line to bring amendments. Then after it passes there, it goes to the committee of the whole house. Not the committee, it's actually, that's their way. It's already in the committee of the whole house, where you go line by line, moving amendments, and then it will go for the third reading. And the third reading, if it passes this stage, then it goes to the third reading, and the third reading is very short. It's rarely even 30 minutes. But the challenge is now in this part of the amendments. And the challenge you are facing is that some people have, one, misled the church that we are putting issues of lesbian and gays, which is actually not true. I may not have an issue with them, but there's nothing about lesbian and gays in that bill.
Okay.
And then also, I think there was a circular that came from the Vatican that they are opposed to assisted reproductive. So some of our Catholic brothers and sisters feel that because this communique from the Vatican was against assisted reproduction, then they should therefore oppose it. I don't think that is actually right, because the previous Pope, the one who passed on, had also given a communique about lesbians and gays, and I've not seen us pushing for lesbian and gays here. So I think what we need to look at is whether this is a social problem affecting Kenyans, and indeed it is, as you have said. And secondly, whether it's something that is prohibited constitutionally, and it is not. So those two things should inform us in passing the bill.
Okay.
Yeah.
As Kenyan and as a woman, and me being part of it, is there anything we can do, or we just get on our knees to help you push it so that the bill goes through the fastest on the stage of amendment?
Well, of course, any good word you can put anywhere is always good enough. With your member of parliament, of course. With anybody else, it's always welcome.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah,
yeah.
Wow. You've said many of the people requesting for 200, 100 are men, and yet you're very vocal in fighting for the rights of women. I've seen you saying holding a woman's hand, and I want to just maybe get to know, why are you so passionate about women?
I am passionate about women first, of course, because a woman, the very nature of man is to be very selfish. That is how we were created, and that is why in the book of Galatians 2:20, we are told to kill the self. I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who lives, but Christ who lives in me. So you need to kill the I.
Okay.
Because the Bible is very clear that as individuals, we tend to exalt who we are. So by that very nature, I will love women because, of course, I'm a woman. But other than that, I was very heavily influenced by my mother. I told you my mother was a nurse, but she did, growing up, I actually saw her more doing the social work because my father didn't like the wife doing night duty. So she had to retrain as a social worker and abandoned nursing.
Okay.
So she became a social worker. And in her days, there were no organizations, civil society organizations as we know today. There was, I think, Child Welfare Society of Kenya and Maendeleo ya Wanawake, and she was a member of both. And because of that, she did a lot of work that many of the organizations are doing today, relating to women's rights. So I lived seeing women who are discriminated, women struggling to tend for their children. So because of that, my eyes was open very early to situations like that. And then we lost my father when we were very young. At I think I was 7 years when my father died. And my mother had to struggle to raise 8 of us on her own. And through my father's death, I also witnessed one or two things that I thought were very peculiar. Like one of the things I noticed was my father was, I mentioned it in my biography that I will be bringing maybe a year or two later. And I noticed that my father was buried right in front of the house. So that every time you walk out, the first thing you see is a grave. And in my mother tongue, they call the widow the wife of the grave. That is the term for a widow. It's the wife of the grave. So you are tied to the grave for life. And my mother, despite the fact that she had many children, she had married fairly young. So she was a very young woman. And everybody was exalting her virtues for not trying to get married, to keep... and I'm like, God, these guys know her hormones were probably going all over as a woman, and she probably needed to get companionship, and she needed... But she was exalted. The society wanted a virtuous woman who is the wife of the grave. Chiliel. Chiliel is the wife of the grave. And through her eyes, you could see that. And then in her workplace, I remember my mother throughout always complaining and saying, you know, there are young boys who are just here the other day. They have come and they've been promoted ahead of me because they are men. And I witnessed one live, a young boy that was born as my mother was already married, were our immediate neighbor. And so they were, the father worked and left, and then he was employed by virtue of the father's position. So he came to my mother's office and became my mother's boss. Not because he had better papers, but because he's a man. Coming over 25 years after my mother was employed, but he became her boss. And so my mother used to say a lot, these people are discriminating us because we are women. And I used to ask, so why don't you tell your boss? I thought it was a simple thing that you just go and tell your boss and it's sorted. And I think she had no language to explain what discrimination against women is. And so that is part of it. And then, of course, when I started working, of course, for FIDA, now it was just a complete eye-opener.
Okay.
And I saw what women were going through.
Okay.
And for the longest time, perhaps it could also have contributed to my staying single for very long. Because my brothers, I remember at some point, told me you need to leave FIDA because you are not going to get married. Because I was complaining about men all the time. And my brothers told me not all men are like this. Yeah, because I was dealing with really bad situations. I was dealing with a woman who was married in Form 2. The husband had made a hostage in a house, living in very posh area here in Nairobi. And every time she would go out, he would come and open her private parts and check with the torch if she's been with somebody else, would put cigarette butts on her private parts. And I'm like, gosh, what the hell is this? And I was hearing strange things. And, you know, because I had no other narrative with which to compare, my father died when we were very young. So in my mind, I was like, this is what marriage is. So for the longest, I never thought I would get married. Because what I was seeing about marriage was really horrid. Yeah, fortunately, my marriage is not like that.
Oh, okay. Yes. And thank you for saying fortunately, because still today, actually there is this musemo we are saying, kwani kwa kina doa ni wapi? Because it looks like it is in a different world. You hear people saying what was done to them in that marriage and you're wondering, uko ni wapi? Because as a single person, the world you're living, it's totally different, peaceful and all that.
Exactly. Yeah, there are marriages that work. There are marriages, you know, every marriage, any relationship comes with challenges. Yeah, but there are marriages that work. Not every marriage is about showing your private parts and doing all manner of things. Yeah.
On your journey trying to fight against the stigma, infertility, and also the woman, empowering the woman, or rather fighting for their right, how far what are the milestones?
I want to tell you that if there's one thing I thank God for, is like Paul, I can actually say I've run the race.
Okay.
Yes. And the reason I say that is not because things have completely changed for women, but within my space and my capabilities, I have been able, working with other women, to realize so much that I can actually sit back and say that this far we went and this much we realized. And one of them is the Constitution of Kenya. God gave me the grace to be in Parliament at the right time, when the Constitution was being, you know, when we were coming up with a new post-independence Constitution. And I sat in the Select Committee. Now looking back, you know, I was a first-timer. And what are the possibilities that I could have been put in that powerful committee? What were the other members? Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, William Samoei Ruto. I think you are also getting the draft, yeah? It means I probably am going to be the next president. On a light note. But anyway, we had all the Wazito, Mudavadi, Orengo, Wetangula, all the senior politicians, Charity Ngilu, Martha Karua, all the senior politicians were in that committee. And we were one of only about 3 of us who were very new, in you know, like first timers who were there. So I was really privileged and honored to be in that committee because there are footprints that I can say in this Katiba, I brought this.
Okay.
In one of them is, of course, the minimum amount that goes to the counties. It was going to be lower than 15. Actually, there was no capping. So it meant the counties could have been at the charity of the national government in terms of the amount. And I pushed that there must be a minimum capping. We were pushing for 40. We didn't manage 40, so I pushed for 15. So 15% going to the counties, I can proudly say I did that. The issue of victims of crime, I can proudly tell you I did that. Some of the provisions of women, I can proudly tell you I did that. Intellectual property rights and on plans, that one we worked a lot with Wangari Maathai. I can tell you I did that because in my other world, I am also very environmentally conscious. So there are things I can tell you in that Katiba. This is Millie.
Okay.
So for me, that is one. The other one is the women representatives that are in parliament, regardless of what people may be saying about them. For me, it's an amazing thing because from these women representatives, you can see that it has created a very interesting spin-off. We have women who are now being elected, either from the women representative or the specially nominated, from areas that had never had women elected, like the Maasai, like the Samburu, like so you have Lesuda, we have the Maasai, we have Peris Tobiko, who was even vying as governor. We have people like Leshomo, who came in as women rep. We have women from northern Kenya. Tell me how many were there before. Women from Mombasa, areas that before you'd never see women. And of course me, you know, I was first nominated and then now elected. The first, actually the second Suba woman in parliament, but the first to be elected. There was already a Suba woman who was nominated many years back. So I'm the second one in parliament, but the first one elected since God created mankind.
Congratulations.
Exactly. So we have Cecily Mbarire, now governor. You have Gladys Wanga, now governor. They got a platform to come as 47, then became governors. Assuming Wanga was going direct into election as governor, Homa Bay County.
Wow.
Possibility of getting through? Almost impossible.
Yes.
So this position has given women a platform from which then people can see you. And even the other women, like the one for Kwale, she managed to be deputy governor before then she could become governor. But because many of us pushed for devolution. So I can tell you for a fact, there are things that I can see there, which are a result of my work. Secondly, we had a lot of, when I came from a civil society, there were very many laws that we were lobbying for the amendment. I can tell you right now, we are probably at 95%, if not 99%, in terms of those laws that have been changed or have been amended. So I can tell you, in terms of legacy building, at the legislative level, I can say that. Of course, in terms of my representative work, there's a lot more that I could say. Yeah. Wow. Impacting individual lives. I get very humbled when sometimes, like another time I was in a flight and then somebody walked up to me and said, you know, I went to school because the Suba North's bursary fund paid my entire fee. And I'm like, wow. Or there are people who have completely given up on life. And like there's a young man who was sharing the other day when people were giving their views on, not the young man, the mother, was sharing that she had taken the son to school and they had actually chased away with the son. Then she got a call from our office telling her that your son has been awarded full bursary because he was needy and there was no way he was going to make it. And then the one that I really love is a family. When I can't remember which year, but the results had just come out for primary. And this school was the best school in Suba North, but also amongst the best nationally.
Okay.
It's called Bitter Point International School. It used to be an international school, but now it's been localized. But they do very well. It's called Bitter Point School. And so we were dancing and running with this kid who had done this. There are two actually, the girl and the boy, and they're done very well. And we were running with the father. And I think the mother was also there. Within 2 years, both the mother and the father died. And they were capable, and they moved from being capable to nothing. And they were both in an alliance. And there was nobody to provide. So we took up and we paid the entire amount of money.
Okay.
So for me, when you see individual lives change, and these two kids, what I remember is like the 10 lepers who are healed. Very few sometimes come to say thank you. These kids looked for me very seriously at some point when I was in the constituency. So I met them. And all they had come to do was to say thank you. They had finished with their university. One is an architect, one is an engineer. So when you see individual stories like that, it's very, very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful, guys. We are happy for you, and we are happy for the work that you are doing. And we are, I keep saying especially women, because we are feeling proud of the way you are holding our hands, and we cannot hesitate to just say thank you, and keep the good work that you are doing. And thank you so much even for creating time for us, Susie Yuledada. And maybe if you allow us, we want maybe to just have a break, and then maybe you could give us like 5 more minutes for...
I've just noticed, okay. We'll take a break, or probably we are in devotion. I will tell them that at least we've had devotion with you. Yeah.
So guys, that was our first session with Honorable Millie Odhiambo. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you have picked one thing. And now we take a short break. We'll be coming back with my colleague, Dr. Karanja Joke, who will be taking us to the next session with Mheshimiwa. For now, bye, and keep it at Susie Yuledadem channel. Bye.